Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today we are going to solve one of the questions from weekly Leetcode challenge, frequency tracker. Basically, it's a medium level question and the acceptance rate is just 25.4%. So first, let's start by reading out the question. The question is, design a data structure that keeps track of the values in it and answers some queries regarding their frequency. So basically, this question is why frequency tracker? Because it keeps track about the frequencies. So there are three operations which this frequency tracker class performs. First is we can add value to the frequency tracker, then we can delete one, and hash frequency tells whether an element present in the frequency tracker has that particular frequency or not. So in by reading out the question, I guess we can understand, uh, we can basically jot down 2 points, that one is regarding the frequency and the other is element. So basically some kind of key value pair kind of thing, because we need to keep track of elements and their frequencies, right? And now we will look at the constraints. Basically constraints, what does they do? They basically tell you about the limit, uh, till when, how long can your number be, so that you can decide uh, what should be the, whether you should go for integer, int, float, what should be the range. So that can be decided on the basis of constraints. And here we go, it's 10 to the power 5. So we jot down 2 points. First is we need frequency, we need elements and frequency, and we need 10 to the power 5, because the range is 1 to 10 to the power 5, including 10 to the power 5 because it's less than equal to 10 to the power 5. So when you will read out the question, your first guess will be why not hash map. But the optimal approach will be by using array. So first let's discuss why not hash map. So our doubt is hash map and array. See, if you take any hash map and you take elements, suppose 3 3 1 2 3 2 1, and same you will take for, so key value pairs. So 3 have frequency 1, then 3 is having frequency of 2, 1 is having frequency of 1, 2 is having frequency of 1, 3 is having frequency of 2, and 2 is having frequency of 2, 1 is having frequency of 2. So what, and suppose you need to find out, that you need to find the frequency of uh, element, frequency of element 1, frequency of element 1. So you need to traverse the hash map, the entire hash map, to find the which element has frequency 1, right? And after traversing the entire hash map, you will come to know there are no elements which have frequency 1. And for you are traversing the entire Hash map, the time complexity is more. Whereas for array, if you are storing, basically when you need to find out the count of particular element, what we do, we make an array. So count of element 1 is 1, count of element 3 is 3, count of element 2 is 1, count of 1 is 2, and 2 is 2. Okay, so this is how we do. This is how we find the count of element in the array. So we are going to use two arrays, one for count and one for frequency. Basically, count will store the count of each element. Okay, and what the frequency array will do, frequency array will tell you whether with that particular frequency, suppose with frequency 1 there exists any element or not, with frequency 2 there exists an element or not, with frequency 3 there exists an element or not. This, what this will do, this will help you to give the answer in constant time, and that is why we are going to use array. This comparison is for why not hash map and why array. If you use hash map, you will get correct answer, no doubt, but you will get CLE. You will get TLE, and that is why you will get TLE. That's the problem. Okay, so let's move on to our next issue, that is what is count array and what is frequency array. So count array basically stores the count of each element. And what does frequency array does? Frequency array stores with frequency 1 there exists an element or not, exists no, basically states if element is present with that frequency or not. So states if element is present with that particular frequency or not. So let me explain you with one example. Let's take 3 1 3 2 1 5 3 1 4 and 2. This is our elements, and we have count and frequency. So how will this work? Let's take index. So first element is your 3. So you will increment. Initially everything is initialized with 0. So count of your 3 is 1. So now frequency array is going to say if there exists an element with uh, frequency 0, frequency 1, with frequency 2, frequency 3, frequency 4, frequency 5, frequency 6. So there exists one element with frequency 1. So count will be 1. Now we will add 1. So count of 1 will become from 0 to 1. So, and now we have two elements with frequency 1. Now we are going to add 3. So initially this 3 had one frequency, so 1 will be deducted, and now it is incremented to 2. 3 is added, so 1 plus 1, 2. Now we have an element with frequency 2. So your frequency table, in your frequency array, to you have an element with frequency 2. So at the index 2 we have value 1. So now we are adding 2. So initially count is 0 for 2. Now we are going to make it 1. So now we have two elements with 1. So count of frequency array will increase, that is 2. Now we are going to add 1 again. So count of 1 is increased to 2. And now initially it was 1. So now the frequency of number of elements who had one frequency will decrease by 1, and its count have increased to 2. So frequency of elements with 2 frequency will increase to 2. Now we are going to add 5. So frequency of element, so number of elements having one frequency will increase to 2, because initially it's 1. Now we are going to add 3. 3 have already has count 2, so it will increase to 3. And now since before it was its count was 2, so we had two elements who had frequency 2, so it will be decreased to 1. And now we have an element whose frequency is 3. So in 3 index we will have 1, yani ki telling us that that we have one element with 3 frequency. We are going to add 1. So count of 1 will become 3. So initially the count of 1 was 2. So we are going to decrement frequency to 0. And now we have two elements with frequency 3. So your frequency array will be updated accordingly. Now we have to add 4 to our count array. So frequency, so count of our count array will increase, because 4 initially it is initialized to 0. Now it will become, its count will increase, it will become 1. So we have one more element with 1 frequency. So it will be frequency array will be updated. Now we have 3 elements with frequency 1, 0 element with frequency 2, and 2 elements with frequency 3. And now we are going to add 2. We had count of 2 as 1. Now it will be increased since we are adding 2 again. So count will increase to 2. And so frequency first it will decrease to 2. We will decrease by 1, 2. And now we are, since now we have one element with frequency 2, so frequency table will be updated accordingly. So finally we will get that we have count of 0 as 0, count of 1 as 3, count of 2 as 2, count of 3 is 3, count of 4 is 1, count of 5 is 1, and count of 6 is 0. Whereas frequency, if you see frequency table, we have two elements with frequency 1. We have one element with frequency 2. We have two elements with frequency 3. This is how frequency table and count is related. So now let's understand code. So let's understand with an example. This is for addition part, add function. We have element. Let's go with a small example. 3 3. Now we are asking, do we have any element with frequency 2? Then we are doing deletion of 2, addition of 2, addition of 1. We are asking frequency with 1, and then deletion of 3. Okay. So first what we'll do, we will add 1. Let's make first count table, count array, sorry, and frequency array. Index is 0, 1, 2, 3, and out here also 0, 1, 2, and 3. Let's change the color. So we are adding 3. So count of 3 will increase to 1. Let me make you understand the code which I have written with the example. So let me undo it. So first, what we have written that frequency of count number. Suppose your number is 3. Okay. So what we are doing, frequency of count number minus 1. So we have count of number. Count of 3 is 0. Initially everything is 0. So count of 3 is 0. So frequency of 0 is minus 1. So let it be 0 minus 1 is, I have put this into an if condition, that if count of number is greater than 0, then only to perform this line. So count of 3 is 0, so this line won't be performed. Okay. Now what we are doing, count of number equals to count of number plus 1. So our count of 3 is 0. So we are incrementing it by 1. Okay. Now what we are doing, frequency of first count of number is 1. Frequency of 1, whatever the frequency of 1 is, we are adding plus 1. So right, initially frequency of 1 is 0. So we are adding 1 to it. Okay. Now again 3 is being added. So now again we will see if the count of 3 is 1. Okay. So they are saying count of number is 1. So frequency of 1 minus 1. So basically, why we are doing this step? We are doing this step so that now if we add 3 to it, if we add 3 to it, so its count will increase from 1 to 2. Therefore the frequency at index 1 means how many elements is having one frequency? None of the elements are having one frequency, because now it's updated to 2. Therefore first we will decrease it by 1, and now the whatever new element count we got in this step, frequency of count because first we will do count number plus 1, so 1 will be incremented to 2, and now frequency of 2 plus 1, frequency of 2 is 0, so it will be incremented to 1. So this is how we are getting count of element. 3's count is 2, and do we have element with frequency 2? Yes, we have one element with frequency 2. We have 0 element with frequency 0, 0 element with frequency 1, and 0 element with frequency 3. This is how we will get frequency as well as count, both in constant time. Now they are asking us, do we have any element with frequency 2? By looking at this, you can easily say, yes, we have an element with frequency 2. And this is what the code is doing. This is what the code is doing. So let me change the color. Now they are saying delete 2. How delete will work? First, it will go and check. Out here, I have just written the additions code. So let me just skip this deletion so that I can make you understand in next slide the deletion concept. Let me just do the addition part in this slide. So now they are saying we will add 2. So out here, again, what you'll do, count of 2. Count of 2 is 0. So this step will be skipped. Only it will work when we have count of number greater than 0. So second step is count of number equals to count of number. It will be incremented by 1. That is, now count of 2 is 1. Now what we are doing, we are finding out count of number is 1. Frequency of 1, our frequency of 1 is what? Frequency of 1 is 0. So it will be incremented by 1. It means that we have one element with frequency 1. Okay. Now they are saying add 1. So again, we will see that if count of number is greater than 0, we don't have any out here. It will be count of number is greater than 0. Then only we are going to perform the first step. So we don't have count of 1 greater than 0. So second line is count should be incremented by 1. We are incrementing it. Now we are finding the count of number, yani count of 1 is 1. Okay. Now frequency of 1 should be incremented by 1. We are incrementing it by 1. It means that there are 2 elements with frequency 1. Now if they are asking how many matlab, do we have any element with frequency 1? Yes, we have 2 elements. We don't know what are those elements by looking in constant time. We cannot say, but we have 2 elements. Okay. So this will also return true. And this is how this code is working. I hope this is very clear. So let's go to deletion 1. Now we will take the question 3, and now you are finding frequency with 2. Any element have frequency 2. Then we are adding 1. Then we are adding 2 with deletion 3. Now we are asking, do we have element with frequency 3? Then we are adding 2, and we are asking frequency with element 1. And rather than frequency, let's delete few. Frequency with 3. Now we are adding 2. We are asking to delete again 3, and we are asking frequency of, do we have any element with frequency 1? So let's make 2 arrays, count and frequency. Okay, let's make index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I hope you remember how addition is working. So if you have not understood how addition is working, please watch that part again. If the addition concept is clear, deletion will be very easy for you all. So let's go with the code again. For addition, what we are doing, first we are checking if the count of that particular number is greater than 0 or not. If it's greater than 0, then from the frequency table we are decreasing the frequency by 1, and then we are incrementing the count, and then we are incrementing the frequency table. Okay, and this is also working somewhat similar. Let's see. First, what we will do, we will add 3. So initially everything is initialized to 0. So first we are checking, do we have any does the count is greater than 0? No, in this case count is right now 0, so we will just increment the count by 1, and now we will increment the frequency by 1. This is count of number, we will get 1, frequency of 1 plus 1, frequency of 1, in frequency of 1 add 1. So our frequency is initially 0, now we are adding 1 to it. Okay, now again we are adding 3. So do we have count greater than 1? Yes, we have count greater than 1. Now what we will do, first we will decrement the frequency. Frequency will be decremented by 1, count will be incremented by 1, that will become 2. Now frequency of 2 will be updated by, incremented by 1. So this is how. Now we are asking, do we have any element with frequency 2? By checking here, you can directly say yes, we have. So true. Now we are adding 1. So count is 0. So first step will be skipped. And now we will just increment to count by 1. And now we will increment the frequency by 1. Now let's go to 2. Count is 0. So incremented by 1. And now frequency will also be incremented by 1. Now deletion 1. So for deletion, they are saying to delete one element from whose frequency is 3. So we will first see count of number is greater than 0. Yes, count of 3 is greater than 0, right? Then we will go frequency of count of number minus 1. So our count of number is 2. We will go to 2, and what we will do, we will decrement it by 1. So it will be decremented to 0. By 1 means will become 0. Now what we will do, the number count count of 3 will also be decremented by 1. And now we will update the frequency table. Same 3 step. First we are going to frequency table, we are decrementing it. Now in addition, when we are incrementing the count, here we are decrementing the count. And next step is same, that frequency table we are incrementing it. So now we are incrementing the frequency table. Now it will become 3. We have 3 element with 1 frequency. Now again we are going to add 2. So count of 2 is greater than 1. So frequency will be, first what we will do, we will go to frequency table, we will decrement it by 1, it will become 2. We will increment the count, it will become 2, and now we will update the frequency. Same. Now again they are saying to decrement 3. So first we will see count of number. Count of 3 is greater than 0. Yes, 1. So what we are doing, we are going to frequency table and we are decrementing the count. Now count will become 1. Okay. Now what we are doing, we are decrementing the count will become 0, and now we are incrementing the frequency table. This is what is happening. Now, do we have any element with frequency 1? By looking at it, you can say yes, we have one element. So this is how the um, delete operation is working, and this all value you will get in constant time. But space complexity is more. I hope you like this video. Thank you. Bye bye.